Today I'm going to talk to you about why I believe that cash tournaments is really going to be the future driver of mobile monetization in games going forward. Before I jump into that, I want to wish everyone here Happy National Chocolate Day, an underappreciated holiday in the United States. As my coworker George always says, chocolate makes me feel sexy. It's true. I recommend all of you get some chocolate tonight. Take it back to your significant other, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. So to give you a little bit of background about me and how I ended up in the cash tournament space, I originally started my career in finance, and I worked for Morgan Stanley. Left that after a few years and worked for a hedge fund. I was trading options and derivatives, and eventually started my own hedge fund around 2011. And I was arbitraging volatility, traded billions of dollars, traded hundreds of millions of contracts. But after 8 years, I was really worn down on waking up at 4 in the morning every single day. So I made the jump to mobile gaming, and I started working for a company called Playhaven. And at Playhaven, they're an ad network, and I was working with their partners and figuring out how we could arbitrage the difference between the lifetime value of their gamers with the cost to acquire those gamers. Did that for about a year, and then Playhaven merged with a data analytics company called Contagion and formed the company Upsite. At Upsite, I was on the marketplace team. We went and spoke to all of our developers to figure out what problems we can help them solve. And at the time, and I would argue still, the market is very, very fragmented. There's literally hundreds and hundreds of service providers out there. And it's difficult when you're running a gaming business to be researching all of these while you're actually running your business. So that's what my team did. And we were essentially looking for companies we can merge with, acquire, or do some kind of strategic partnership with. We did a bunch of deals around mediation and attribution. And one of the most interesting industries that I found there was cash tournaments. So I immediately looked at all the players in the space, researched them, spoke with their founders and CEOs, read everything I could on the website, and tried to talk to as many of their clients as possible. After doing that research, I clearly found that cash play was the leader in the space. And I wanted to either acquire them or do some kind of strategic partnership with them. And at the time, they only had an office in Prague in the Czech Republic. So we never really got anything done while I was there, but when they told me they were opening an office in San Francisco, I immediately jumped in, and I was the first hire in the United States. And I've been at Cash Play doing strategic partnerships and business development ever since. There's three kind of major trend changes that have happened recently that I really feel like now's the time that cash tournaments can thrive in mobile gaming. But before I get into those, does anyone here know the difference between gambling and skill-based games? What do you think?
Well, a skill-based game, how to put it in simple words. A skill-based game is not fundamentally driven by chance. It's fundamentally driven by the performance of the individual.
That's correct. So the legislature has created a rule that it basically says if both players have the exact same experience, and it's just their skill that determines the outcome, that's considered a skill-based game. So just like golf in real life, gambling, on the other hand, has randomly generated numbers. So think bingo and slots and poker. Even though there's a lot of skill in poker, because you have these randomly generated cards, it's not considered a skill-based game, and why it's considered gambling. So the big shift in this gambling versus skill mind frame is the millennials. And they really understand that gambling, you're essentially throwing your money away. I mean, everyone says, the house always wins. And these millennials grew up playing video games, which are predominantly skill-based. And if you read the reports of these publicly traded casino companies, you can see that they're not making as much money from gambling anymore. They're making more of their money from skill games and, the entertainment that goes along with going to Vegas, like the clubs and the restaurants and some of the shopping. So the days of the consumer going to Vegas and just sitting behind a slot machine is clearly on the decline. Second major trend is esports. It's growing tremendously quickly, and I don't know if you guys noticed or not, but there was more viewers of the League of Legends tournament than Game 7 of the World Series. When I heard that, I was absolutely shocked. But Newzoo came out with a research report as well, saying that the viewership of esports will be equal to the NFL by 2017. And if you think about it, it actually makes a lot of sense. I went to a Warriors game, was following the team all season, and when I was up close actually seeing these guys, I mean, I feel like they're a different species than me. You have to be born with an athletic body to compete in a professional sports game. But for esports, anybody can compete, and I think that's why it's taking off so quickly with the millennials. A lot of these esports stars now, too, are also making millions of dollars from the tournaments they're competing in and from the sponsors. The last major trend is the mobile devices. The mobile devices, this mobile phone is the first device in history to outsell the population of the planet. It's the only device I've ever done it before. It's really, really incredible to see the speed that this has all happened. In what, about 30 years we've had cell phones now? And mobile gaming is benefiting from that massive growth. So before I get into all the cash tournament benefits, I want to tell you a story about my buddy Tom. He started a gaming company while I was still at Playhaven and then at Upside. And he wanted me to help advise for him because he needed help with some of the data analytics that he couldn't do himself. And he wanted me to help introduce him to the right service providers so that he knew who to work with, since I was researching them at Upside. And the first year that he was in business, created a brilliant little game, started making really good money, had great DNAC users, and things were going really, really well for him. He expanded his team from 8 to almost 30 in a relatively short time, and he had big aspirations to make sequels and, kind of expand his business. And for a while, things were going really, really well, and it was fun. And after a while, though, more clones came out of his games. He had a couple bugs that kind of pissed some people off. And I'll never forget this phone call where he called me, and he told me that he was really, really stressed out. You can hear it in his voice. And he was worried that since it was the first month that they had lost money, that he was going to have to lay off about a third of his staff if he couldn't come up with a solution to get the business back on track. And he started just basically self-funding the company again from that point forward. And I tried to introduce him to as many people as I could. We did some IAP optimization that helped a little bit. We tried different ad networks that helped a little bit. We tried a non-cash tournament solution, and that had some pros and cons to it. And right around the same time of his company kind of going through these troubled times is when I started learning about the cash tournaments and how they can actually help developers. I did my due diligence on Cashplay and made the introduction for Tom. So monetization is obviously the most obvious benefit from cash tournaments, and it just simply comes from the tournament entry fees. It's completely customizable. It can range between 10 and 20%. And basically how it works is if you and I wanted to play for $10, you would put in $5.50, I would put in $5.50. Let's say you win the game because you're better than me. You win the $10. That last dollar is then split between Cashplay and the developer. A dollar might not sound like a lot of money, but you think about these tournaments happening 24/7, 365, just all the time, it can really add up real quick. The second less obvious key of cash tournaments being a monetization tool is the in-app purchases increase. I was really surprised about this when I first figured it out, but it makes sense when you think about it. When we have a cash tournament, we always feature the premium content in that tournament. So for example, a driving car. We'll feature the fastest car in there with the best engine, the best tires, the best nitrous, etc., etc. And when players realize that, they tend to play the cash tournaments a few times and then go back into the game and purchase the premium content so they can practice, so they can play the cash tournaments. Since they're practicing so much, you're going to see more sessions than a typical non-cash tournament user. Obviously, more sessions, you get more ad dollars, and that's generally a positive thing for everybody. One of the interesting trends I'm seeing that I think is going to continue is that a lot of these developers have stopped showing ads for other games. They're only showing ads for branded content or showing interstitials to their own games and cross-promoting those players. And it makes a lot of sense because why send a user who might not be spending money in your game to a Clash of Clans or a Game of War or Candy Crush, when you could keep them in your ecosystem and then send them to another game where they might turn out to be a whale. Retention. On average, we see about 1 to 2% increase in 30-day retention. We've seen it as high as 5%. And then depositing users, we see them interact with the game for over 65 days, which is fantastic. It really extends the life of the game. Another thing that's been really exciting is that we can do unlimited tournaments. So we have a game coming out with Tyga. He's dating one of the Jenner sisters. He's going to have his own MTV reality TV show here pretty soon. For that game, we're going to be having these unlimited tournaments. So when people will get when people do the 1v1 tournaments for a while, it might not, you want to kind of spice things up a little bit and put like really big numbers up there. So we're going to give away $10,000 where people can enter as many times as they'd like for $1, and basically everything that is above that $10,000 threshold, we split with the developer. There's our Tyga logo right there. Engagement is a big positive for cash tournaments. Like I said before, some players see the premium content featured in the cash tournament and go out and buy it. Some of them don't. Some of them will see the player come into the cash tournament, play a few times, realize that the premium content's in there, go back into the game, and then we see them just play like crazy and earn the premium content. And these are typically the best players in these games that actually sit there, master the game, practice a bunch, and really become masters. And these are the ones that we see make, tens of thousands of dollars and are probably just playing video games all day for a living, is what it seems like. User acquisition, this is a big one. We don't make any money unless our developers make money. So we're highly incentivized to do as much as we can to get players into the game. So we do a number of esports events. If you saw us today, we're actually doing competitions. After my speech, you'll still have about 30 minutes or so to play. But we also do other mobile conferences, and we do sporting events, and we're doing a college tour. And we come up with kind of unique ways that we can engage people's audience. I was actually just in Sacramento yesterday. We're working on a deal with the Sacramento Kings, where we're going to link them to the developers that are on our platform. We're going to reskin their games and make them very Kings branded. And then during halftime of the Kings game, they'll come out and say, hey, we want to see who's the biggest Kings fan. We're going to find out right now, download this quiz game, and we're going to do a cash tournament, and we can give away money, and we can give away Kings gear. We also try to help our developers as much as possible by interviewing them, really finding out what makes them tick, what made them want to start a game developing company, and figuring out what makes them so special and unique. And we put that on our blog. We also issue press releases for all the games that are on our platform. And then we also update our website and feature them on there. And also we have an app that distributes the games that are on our app. We put their app in there as well. And then we cross-promote. We have all these players signed up on our platform now. Whenever we release a new game, we'll let them know in like a weekly email. Legality. We're legal in 42 states and in over 200 territories worldwide. We handle all the anti-fraud, anti-cheat, anti-money laundering, and the KYC process. That essentially just checks to make sure that people really are who they say they are, and it prevents kids from withdrawing money from the platform. It's important to note too that CashPlay is the only global provider of cash tournaments. Payments, we have over 120 payment methods globally. We have all of our players have their geolocation enabled. That way we know that they're in a legal territory to do this, and so that we know what payment method to give them. Players can put money in and out of our system straight from the bank account. There's no checks needed, it just goes right to the bank. And to encourage people to sign up, we give everyone a $3 sign-up bonus, and that way they can kind of try before they deposit money. And our user wallet works across the entire network of our game, so once a player signs up in one game, they don't need to sign up in another game. They can just use the exact same login. Before I answer any questions, I want to go back to the story about Tom. It was really what solidified this whole cash tournament thing working, is that it worked with Tom's games, and he fixed some bugs and, he did some other things with other service providers, but it really was the cash tournaments that kind of saved his business and prevented him from laying off a number of his staff. And because of that, I'm very, very proud to be working at CashPlay. We're helping a lot of developers with a lot of their games, and we have a lot of exciting things coming up. We have the largest esports game on the planet on our platform, World Golf Tour. It's a beautiful game. I would definitely recommend downloading it and trying it out. And we're doing games with more celebrities than just Taiga that have over 100 million social media followers. We're the only platform that allows cash gaming on Apple, Android, and Windows. And I'm really excited to be doing bigger and bigger cash tournaments going forward with the largest cash prizes available. If you think we can help you out, I'd love to talk to you and see if it's a good fit. Other than that, I'm going to enjoy some chocolate. I recommend you guys do the exact same thing. And I'll take any questions.